Please don't do this to me.
It's over. Accept
Go
it.
away. I can't marry a fat woman like you. She fed him when he was poor. She paid his school fees when he had nothing. But on his graduation day, he flaunted his success with another woman by his side. Let's go back to how it all began. But before I start, please subscribe, like and comment. This keeps me encouraged, and also do let me know where you're watching from. I would like to know which part of the world you're watching from. When Derrick came into Olivia's life, he had nothing but dust on his slippers and a dream too big for his pocket. He worked in Oshodi Market, lifting heavy crates, dragging sacks of rice, carrying goods for traders who paid him with insult. But to Olivia, he was everything. He started as just another customer at her Akara store, but gradually, their relationship grew. Olivia had seen hundreds of men. Men who came not only to buy food but to wound her. Men who laughed too loudly, who called her Big M Olivium. They poked at her stomach and asked if she fried Akara with the same oil she used on herself. But Derrick was different. He didn't stare at her body the way others did. He simply looked at her. Like she was normal. Like she was enough. He saw how she woke before dawn to grind beans while the street was still dark. How her wrist ached from stirring thick batter. How the oil spat and burned her arms, leaving tiny scars she had stopped counting. How she still smiled at every customer. At night, when the crowd thinned and the fire burned low, Derrick would talk about his dreams of going to university and building a stable life. To have a family with her. Olivia saw his determination. She encouraged him to apply, promising to support him. Derrick had held her hands, eyes shining. When I make it, you make it. I will never forget this. When he finally gained admission, Olivia paid his tuition fees. Paid for rent, books, and other basic needs. But as soon as Derrick got to school, reality became harsh. He needed more money, books, transport, unexpected practicals. Olivia never complained. She worked harder, saving every naira she earned from her small Akara business. At times she went hungry to send him money. She sold her jewelry, sold her clothes, anything, to make sure he had what he needed. She sent money twice every week. Sometimes she borrowed from people to cover the cost. Neighbors whispered, calling her a fool. Market women told her to work on herself first. But Derrick's call mattered more than their judgment. Every coin she saved, every naira cent, was her way of proving that kindness and belief could outweigh cruelty. Her world kept shrinking. She stopped buying things for herself, stopped attending events because she had no clothes or shoes. Even when she fell sick, she forced herself out to sell Akara, afraid Derrick would call and she would have nothing to give him. Florence, her sister, noticed and warned her. Olivia, this isn't healthy. What are you doing to yourself? Olivia smiled, tired but determined. Derrick is my investment. When he succeeds, I succeed. Florence's concern deepened. And what if he changes? Olivia shook her head. He's not that kind of man. Days turned into years, and Derrick's needs only grew. His messages grew shorter. Calls became rare. Sometimes when she sent money, he complained it wasn't enough. When he stopped answering, Olivia blamed the network. When days passed in silence, she blamed school stress. She never complained. She endured everything. When Derrick finally graduated and returned, the whole town waited to celebrate him. People clapped, shouted, and cheered. Olivia stayed at the edge, clutching the food she had cooked, gifts wrapped neatly as they waited. But little did she know what would happen. When Derrick arrived and stepped out of the car, he was dressed in a navy blue suit, looking like success. Then, a young beautiful woman stepped out of the car and linked arms with Derrick. She was slim, tall, perfectly dressed, an expensive wig bouncing with every step. Her makeup was flawless, her heels clicking on the dusty street. She laughed, a sound so light and easy it made Olivia's chest ache. People around them whispered, "She belongs with him, look at her, she's gorgeous." Olivia's stomach twisted. She wanted to doubt Derrick and listen to what people were saying, but she shook her head. "Derrick can never betray me," she said, even though her hands shook uncontrollably. After the celebration, she approached him. I made this for you." "Congratulations," she said, voice trembling. He took the gift, barely looking at her. "Thanks," he muttered, cold and distant. His eyes lingered on the woman beside him for a fraction longer, and Olivia's chest twisted painfully. "I wanted to celebrate you, all these years. I've believed in you," she forced the words out, trying to steady herself. He sighed, stepping closer, but his gaze flicked again to the woman laughing at something he whispered. "Olivia, we need to talk." Her stomach sank. "Talk?" "Yes," he said. "I know I couldn't become this without you, but it's over. I can't be with you anymore." Her hands shook. "But, Derrick, I supported you. I gave you everything. I sacrificed for you." "I know," he said. "And I'm grateful. But I can't be with you. You don't fit my life. Fit your life." "How?" she whispered, tears running down her cheeks. He looked at her as if ashamed of her. "Your size, your body, the way you look. You're too fat. You eat too much. Work on yourself, maybe then you'll find a man to marry you." Olivia's chest felt crushed. "All the years I worked, all the money I sent, it meant nothing." He shook his head. "It's not about that. I need someone who matches my life. You're not that person." Her knees gave out. She dropped to the floor, tears streaming freely. "Please. Derrick. I love you. I always loved you." He stepped back, indifferent. The woman smiled at him, touched his arm gently, and whispered something he laughed at. Then he looked at Olivia once more. "Love isn't enough. Take care of yourself. That's the only way you'll ever be happy with someone." And then he walked away, the woman gliding beside him like she had always been there, like she was his world. Olivia stayed on the floor long after Derrick walked away. The claps and cheers faded into distant echoes. Her body trembled, not from cold, but from the weight of everything she had given, everything she had believed in, crushed in an instant. She thought of the nights she went hungry, the days she sold Akara with aching wrists, everything she sold to make sure he had what he needed. Every sleepless night, every sacrifice, all the love poured into him, it was gone, dismissed with a flick of his hand. "Olivia, what happened?" Florence's voice broke through, soft and uncertain. "Why are you on the floor?" Olivia's throat tightened. Words failed her. She shook her head, tears blurring her vision. He doesn't want me. He said I'm too fat. That I don't fit his life." Florence knelt beside her. "Baby, listen, you are not worthless. Not because of him. Not because of anything he said." But the words didn't reach the hollow space inside her chest. For days, she couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. She couldn't go out. She stopped selling Akara. She stopped taking calls. Everything around her reminded her of the man who had taken her heart, her sweat, her sacrifices, and thrown them away. Neighbors whispered. Some mocked her. Others pitied her. Olivia didn't hear. The pain in her heart was too much to bear. Florence didn't give up. She sat with her, held her hand, reminded her of her strength, of the woman who had woken before dawn for years and never faltered. At first, she let the numbness take over, crying into the nights, staring at walls, wondering how she had given everything to someone who never saw her worth. Then one morning, something shifted. Not anger at him, but at herself. How had she let her dreams fade? How had she allowed her value to be measured by someone else's approval? She looked in the mirror and saw a woman who had starved herself to feed someone else's future, who had believed love meant disappearing. The realization hurt, but it also freed her. If she had chosen to vanish, she could now choose to return. She followed Florence to Oja, not because she was running from people's words, but because there was nothing left for her in that house. She had given so much of herself that the space no longer held her. She hadn't left to escape, she left because she had shrunk herself until there was nothing left to stay for. She began walking every morning, not to lose weight or punish her body, but to feel it, to remember herself. She remembered the little girl who loved cooking with her mother, the pride that filled her chest when someone praised her food, the dream of having a restaurant of her own, the dream she had buried believing she wasn't worthy. And for the first time in years, she asked, "What do I want? Who do I want to be?" One evening, she sought out therapy of her own accord. She poured out every memory of sacrifice, hunger, shame, and blind devotion. For the first time, she heard someone ask what she wanted, and the question unlocked a new determination. Through counseling, Olivia learned about boundaries, self-respect, and reclaiming space for herself emotionally and physically. She realized love without respect was hollow, that her worth had never depended on anyone else's recognition, and that she could take up space unapologetically. She wrote down what she wanted to do. How she always wanted to cook food that brought joy, to build something of her own. Slowly, she started small changes. She consulted a nutritionist not to diet, but to nourish her body, learning that eating and caring for herself was not indulgence but restoration. She registered at a gym and worked more on herself. It wasn't easy. In fact, she cried most times, but she persisted. She faced lingering insecurities, memories of Derrick's betrayal, whispers of self-doubt, but she continued. Later, she enrolled in a big culinary school in Lagos State. At first, she feared being too old, too slow, too inexperienced in theory, but her intuition, her years of practice, and her patience carried her. She excelled in hands-on skills, taught classmates, shared knowledge, and in teaching realized her true value, skill, experience, and passion that couldn't be taken from her. 1 year later, she stood as the best graduating student at the culinary school. She was recognized not for someone else's dream, but her own work, and offered a partnership to open her restaurant. Within a year, Olivia's kitchen had gained a reputation across Lagos. She was no longer just a skilled cook, she was a respected businesswoman, a mentor to young chefs, a voice in the culinary community. Media outlets had featured her story, neighbors who once whispered about her now stopped by to congratulate her. Orders flowed in, collaborations were suggested, and the small space she had started in became too small for her dreams. Every day was a testament to her resilience, the quiet triumph of someone who refused to let heartbreak define her. Meanwhile, across the city, Derrick sat in his apartment staring at his phone. From the outside, he had everything. A good job. A nice car. Money in his account. But he lacks peace. Girls only dated him for his money. Then betray him by cheating with someone else. None of his girlfriends asked how he was. None of them noticed when he was tired. None of them loved him the way Olivia had. The realization came slowly, then all at once. Late at night, alone in his bed, Derrick would remember. The way Olivia used to look at him like he was capable of anything. The way she'd sacrificed without complaint. The way she'd believed in his dream more than he believed in it himself. He'd thrown away the only person who'd ever truly seen him. And for what? For women who saw only his degree and his salary. He tried reaching out to Olivia, but she no longer used her old number. Weeks later, Derrick's company landed a major contract, a hospitality project that required partnering with top-tier restaurants. His boss handed him a list. "These are the restaurants we are considering. Do site visits, assess their operations, see who we want to work with." Derrick scanned the list. One name stood out. Olivia's kitchen. It was the best of everything. The chef was exceptional. Young woman. Self-made. Derrick booked an appointment. When he arrived at Olivia's kitchen the next day, nerves twisting in his stomach. The restaurant's glass doors reflected sunlight, showing a bustling space inside. Waiters moved with precision, laughter ringing from tables, the scent of freshly cooked food mingling with the faint tang of citrus from the open kitchen. He paused just outside, catching his breath. Then he saw her. Olivia stood near the kitchen entrance, talking with her sous chef. Her crisp white chef's coat hugged her frame perfectly, the embroidery of her name gleaming under the morning light. Her hair was pulled back elegantly, her face radiant, not just from beauty, but from confidence and purpose. She laughed softly at something a colleague said, and Derrick froze. For a moment, he couldn't breathe. This was the woman he had dismissed, the woman he had called too fat and not enough. She was extraordinary. Every step she took, every gesture, exuded calm authority. Her eyes sparkled with intelligence and warmth. She was happy, fulfilled, alive in a way he had never seen before. His jaw literally dropped. This was her. This woman, my Olivia. Olivia turned, and for a split second, her gaze flickered with recognition. But it was professional, composed, unshakable. She extended her hand. Mr. Anderson, she said, her voice steady, measured. Welcome to Olivia's kitchen. Derrick swallowed hard and shook her hand, noticing the subtle firmness, the certainty in her grip. He felt like a boy again, standing in front of someone far above him in every way that mattered. Please, sit, she gestured toward a private table she had prepared for the meeting. The next 45 minutes were a blur for Derrick. Olivia spoke with confidence, passion, and precision. She walked him through her menu concepts, her kitchen's efficiency, her team's experience, and her vision for food that could elevate the dining experience. She showed him charts, layouts, and customer feedback, explaining her plans for growth and collaboration. Every word, every gesture, screamed competence, resilience, and self-belief. Derrick struggled to focus on the numbers. His eyes kept drifting to her posture, her radiant face, the calm authority she exuded, the effortless respect she commanded from her staff. She was beautiful, yes, but it was the strength and fulfillment behind her beauty that held him captive. She looked alive in a way that pierced him straight to the heart. She built all this herself. Without me. So, she concluded, snapping him back to reality, do you think we'd be a good fit for the project? Derrick blinked, trying to gather himself. Yes. Absolutely yes. Your restaurant, it's perfect. You're perfect. I mean, it's perfect for what we need. Olivia nodded, closing her portfolio. Good. My team will send over a detailed proposal by Friday. She turned to walk away, signaling the meeting was over. But Derrick couldn't move. His legs felt like lead. He needed to speak, to say the words he had carried for years. Olivia, wait, he said, rising quickly. She paused, turning toward him with the same calm, neutral expression. Yes. Can we talk? Just for a minute. Not about business, he said, voice tight. Olivia studied him for a long moment, then sat back down. You have 5 minutes. Derrick took a shaky breath. I've been wanting to say this for so long. I was wrong. About everything. The way I treated you, the things I said. Derrick, Olivia interrupted gently, you don't need to do this. Yes, I do, he insisted. You gave me everything. You believed in me when no one else did. You sacrificed. I did, she agreed, her tone soft but firm. And that was my choice. My mistake, actually. He flinched. Mistake. Not supporting you, she clarified. But losing myself in the process. Believing my worth was tied to what I could give you. That was the mistake. And I've learned from it. Derrick's voice cracked. I threw away the best thing that ever happened to me. I see that now. The women I've been with since, they don't care about me. Not really. They want what I can give them. But you loved me when I had nothing. Olivia's expression softened, but not the way he wanted. Not longing. Not warmth. It was pity. Respectful, compassionate, but not vulnerable. I did love you, she said quietly. Very much. But Derrick, that love was killing me. I was disappearing. And you let me. Worse, you encouraged it, then threw me away when I had given everything. I know, he whispered, shame dripping from every word. And I hate myself for it. But Olivia, we could try again. I'm different now. I understand. No, she said firmly. There is no us, Derrick. There's no going back. But I've changed. Maybe you have, Olivia acknowledged, but I've changed too. I'm not the woman who would give away her last naira for someone else's dream. I'm not the woman who would starve herself so someone else could eat. I'm not the woman who believed she had to earn love by disappearing. She stood then, decisively. I've moved on, Derrick. Fully. I don't hate you. I don't even blame you anymore. What happened between us taught me that I matter. That my dreams matter. That I deserve to take up space. Derrick rose, desperate. Olivia, please. I hope you find peace, she said, her voice kind but firm. I hope you find someone who fits the life you wanted. But that person isn't me. Not anymore. She extended her hand, calm and graceful. My team will be in touch about the proposal. Have a good day, Mr. Anderson. Derrick stared at the hand, at her face, at everything he had lost. Slowly, he shook it. Goodbye, Olivia, he whispered. Goodbye, Derrick, she replied. Olivia walked back toward her kitchen, heels clicking softly on the polished floor, her head held high, her chest open to the life she had built. And Derrick walked out of Olivia's kitchen knowing he had just lost her, for the second time, but this time it wasn't because he had walked away. It was because she had walked forward into her own life. Months passed. Olivia's kitchen became what she'd always dreamed, not just a restaurant, but a place people returned to. Not because the food was good, though it was. But because something about the space felt like care made visible. Her day started early, but she didn't mind. This wasn't the exhausted waking of her old life. This was purpose. Orders came steady. Collaborations followed. Her staff stayed because she treated them the way she'd learned to treat herself, with respect. She thought of Derrick sometimes. Not often. Not painfully. Just as a memory, like an old photograph you find in a drawer and put back without much feeling. Stories reached her occasionally, mutual acquaintances mentioning his name, how he seemed restless, how relationships never seemed to last. She listened politely and felt nothing. That chapter was closed. She met Samoa at a culinary conference in Lagos. He wasn't flashy. Didn't dominate conversations or perform charm. He asked questions and actually listened to the answers. When she talked about her business, he asked about her process, her challenges, what kept her inspired. They exchanged numbers. Started texting about food, then about everything else, books, childhood, what scared them, what made them laugh. One evening, after they'd worked together preparing a collaborative menu at her restaurant, Olivia found herself telling him everything. Derrick. The years of sacrifice. The humiliation. The rebuilding. Samoa didn't interrupt. When she finished, he was quiet for a moment. Thank you for telling me, he said finally. But Olivia, I don't love you because of what you survived. I love you because of who you are now. I want to build something with you. Together. Not take from you. Olivia felt something shift in her chest. Not the desperate, grasping feeling she'd once called love. Something steadier. Safer. Something real. A year later, they married. The wedding was small. Close friends. Family. Her staff would become family too. Florence cried through the entire ceremony. Olivia wore a dress she'd chosen herself, elegant, fitted, unapologetic. She felt beautiful. Not because someone told her she was, but because she knew it. When Samuel looked at her, she saw partnership. Respect. Joy. Not need. Not transaction. But love. Derrick heard about the wedding through someone who'd seen the photos online. He stared at the image of Olivia smiling beside her husband, radiant in ways he'd never seen when she was with him. He closed his phone. Sat alone in his apartment with its expensive furniture and empty rooms. The women he dated now were beautiful. Interested, until they realized he was just as hollow as the affection they offered. He chased the wrong things. Valued the wrong measures. And the woman who'd loved him when he had nothing had found everything without him. He understood that now. Too late. Olivia's story reminds us that sometimes the greatest love story isn't about finding someone else, it's about finding yourself. What did you think about Olivia's journey? Have you ever sacrificed too much for someone who didn't value you? Please drop your thoughts in the comments below. If this story touched you, please hit that like button and share it with someone who needs to hear that their worth is never up for debate. And if you want more stories about resilience, second chances, and the power of choosing yourself, subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. Thank you for being here. Until next time, remember, you are enough, exactly as you are.